You're too small, but I will force it in.
The diamond. It glittered between Min-Jae's thick fingers, catching the neon lights bleeding through the warehouse windows. His other hand gripped Zara's throat, not choking but possessive, threatening. "You're too small for this world, little bird," he whispered in her ear, his Korean accent thick with menace. At 65, he towered over her 52 frame like a mountain over a pebble. "But I will force it in, every single inch of my empire into your pretty little hands until you choke on the power or learn to swallow it whole." Zara's dark skin glistened with sweat. Her eyes, those defiant brown eyes that had gotten her into this mess, never wavered. "Then do it," she hissed back. "But when I take everything from you, don't say I didn't warn you." The two shadowy figures behind the blue-tinted glass shifted, watching, waiting. Min-Jae's lips curved into a smile that promised violence. "3 days ago, you were nothing. Let me remind you how you got here." 3 days earlier. Lagos, Nigeria. The Balagun market bustled with the controlled chaos that only West Africa could orchestrate. Zara Okonkwo moved through the crowd like water, smooth, fluid, untouchable. Her pink shirt, tied at the waist to show just enough skin, had already attracted 3 marks that morning. She wasn't a prostitute, she was an artist. "Sister, please now, you cannot just take my phone." The Chinese merchant grabbed her wrist, but Zara's smile could melt titanium. "Uncle, I'm not taking anything. I'm simply retrieving what you took from that old woman an hour ago." She pressed the counterfeit bills into his palm, the same ones he'd used to scam the elderly vendor. "Consider us even." The merchant's face went purple, but before he could shout, Zara had vanished into the market's labyrinth. In her pocket, his real phone containing crypto wallet codes worth $47,000. By tonight, it would be $0, and Zara would be $47,000 richer. This was her game. Find the scammers, scam them harder. Robin Hood with better curves and 0 moral complications. She didn't know that today. She'd stolen from the wrong person. Her apartment in Yaba was modest, a 1-bedroom with peeling paint, but a view of the Lagos skyline that made her feel like she owned the city. She was counting her latest haul when her door exploded inward. Not knocked, exploded. 2 men entered. No, not men. Demons in tailored suits. The first was massive, probably Samoan, with tattoos creeping up his neck like venomous snakes. The second was leaner, surgical in his movements, with eyes that calculated her death in 12 different ways before even speaking. "Zara Okonkwo." The lean one's accent was Korean. "You made a significant withdrawal from an account that doesn't belong to you." Her hand moved toward the knife under her couch cushion. The Samoan's gun appeared faster. She froze. "The Chinese merchant," she said, keeping her voice steady. "He was scamming people." "He was laundering money for the Jade Serpent Triad," the Korean corrected. "Which means you stole from us. The Seoul syndicate doesn't forgive theft, Miss Okonkwo. We monetize it." "I can give it back." "Oh, you will, with interest." He gestured to the Samoan, who grabbed her laptop, her phone, her life. "But first, you're coming with us. Our boss wants to meet the clever little bird who flew into our cage." The private jet was obscene. Cream leather, mahogany accents, and a minibar stocked with liquor worth more than her annual income. Zara sat across from the Korean enforcer, whose name she'd learned was Di-young. "Where are we going?" she demanded. "Seoul, then probably your grave. Boss hasn't decided yet." He said it like he was discussing the weather. "I can work for you, pay off the debt." "You're Nigerian. You speak what 3 languages? Yoruba, English, and street." Di-young's laugh was bitter. "What could you possibly offer the Seoul syndicate?" Zara leaned forward, her cleavage deliberate, her smile sharper. "I offer what every crime organization needs but can never find, genuine invisibility. You see a small black woman in Seoul, you see a tourist, a student, a nobody. You don't see a weapon." Di-young's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Interest. "Boss will hear your pitch. Then he'll probably still kill you." 18 hours later. The warehouse district of Gyeorogu looked like every criminal headquarters in every movie, except cleaner, colder, more methodically terrifying. Zara was led through corridors that smelled of bleach and broken promises until they reached a central room bathed in blue light from massive windows overlooking the Han River. And there he was, Min-Jae Kwon. He stood with his back to her, hands clasped behind him, radiating an authority that made the air itself submit. When he turned, Zara's breath caught, not from attraction, though he was devastatingly handsome in that sharp-edged, dangerous way. No, what stopped her heart was recognition. She'd seen this man before. 6 months ago in Lagos, at a charity gala she'd crashed to lift a corrupt politician's wallet. Min-Jae had been there, dressed in white, speaking to the Nigerian governor about infrastructure investments. He remembered, too. His eyes widened fractionally before that impenetrable mask returned. "The little thief from Lagos," he said in perfect English, his voice like silk wrapped around a blade. "When Di-young said we had a problem, I didn't realize it would be so entertaining. I can explain. You stole $47,000 from an account connected to 17 different criminal organizations across 3 continents. You did it in 4 minutes using only a copied SIM card and a laptop older than most of my cars." He walked toward her, each step deliberate. "Do you understand the chaos you've caused? The treaties violated, the delicate balance disrupted." Zara lifted her chin. "I didn't know." "Of course you didn't." He stopped inches from her, so close she could smell his cologne, something expensive and threatening. "But ignorance isn't innocence, Miss Okonkwo. It's just stupidity wearing a prettier dress." "Then kill me and be done with it." His laugh was unexpected, genuine. "Kill you? Why would I waste such talent?" He circled her like a predator assessing prey. "No, I have a better idea. You want to be invisible, I'll make you a ghost. You want to survive, I'll teach you to thrive. But understand this." He grabbed her chin, forcing her to meet his eyes. The 2 figures appeared in the window behind him, silhouettes with glowing eyes, his lieutenants, she realized, always watching. "You belong to me now. Every breath, every heartbeat, every clever little thought in that head. Mine. I will force my world into yours until you either break or become something stronger. There is no middle ground, no escape, no mercy." Zara should have been terrified. She should have begged. Instead, she smiled. "Then teach me everything. Because when I'm done learning, I'm taking your empire and burning it to the ground." The warehouse went silent. Even the lieutenants in the window seemed to lean forward. Min-Jae's grip tightened. Then slowly, impossibly, he smiled back. "Good, I was hoping you'd say that." Min-Jae's education started at 4 a.m. with a bucket of ice water and a gun to her temple. "Lesson 1, Di-young's voice cut through her gasping shock. "In this world, comfort is a weapon used against you. Sleep is a luxury you earn. Trust is a disease that kills." Zara was dragged from the bare mattress in her locked room, not a cell, Min-Jae had clarified, but motivation, and thrown into a training facility that looked like it tortured Olympic athletes for fun. The Samoan from Lagos was there, introducing himself as Koa. Beside him stood a woman who moved like liquid death, Yuki, Japanese, with scars decorating her arms like twisted art. "You want to be a ghost?" Yuki's English was crisp, cold. "Ghosts don't complain, begin." The next 6 hours were hell choreographed by sadists. Hand-to-hand combat that left Zara's body screaming. Weapons training with knives that kissed too close to her skin. Surveillance techniques that required her to memorize 17 faces in 30 seconds or get electrocuted. Not lethally, Min-Jae assured her later, just memorably. But it was the afternoon session that changed everything. Min-Jae himself appeared, dismissing the others with a gesture. He wore simple black today, turtleneck and slacks, but somehow looked more dangerous than when he'd held her throat. "They're teaching you to survive," he said, circling the training mat where she lay panting. "I'm going to teach you to win. Do you know the difference?" "Winning means they don't. Get back up," Zara gasped. "No." He crouched beside her, his face inches from hers. Winning means they get back up and work for you. Fear is temporary. Loyalty bought through respect, that's eternal. He pulled her to her feet with surprising gentleness. Your mistake in Lagos wasn't stealing. It was stealing without understanding the ecosystem. Every crime organization is connected, symbiotically or parasitically. Disrupt one node, the whole network responds. From his pocket, he produced a small black device. This is a ledger key. It contains every transaction the Seoul syndicate has made in the past decade. Names, amounts, locations. Enough information to destroy me 12 times over. Zara's eyes widened. Why are you showing me this? Because I'm going to teach you how we really operate. Not through violence, that's for the unimaginative. We operate through information architecture. His smile was sharp enough to draw blood. By the time I'm done with you, you'll know every secret of every organization we're connected to. You'll be the most dangerous weapon I've ever created. Or the one that kills you, she whispered. Exactly. His eyes gleamed with something that looked almost like admiration. That's what makes this interesting. There's a traitor in my organization, Min-Jae announced over breakfast. If you could call raw fish and rice wine at 6 a.m. breakfast. Someone's been feeding information to the Jade Serpent Triad, the same organization whose money you stole. Zara, whose body was a roadmap of bruises from yesterday's training, looked up sharply. And you want me to find them? I want you to become them. He slid a folder across the black marble table. Inside, photographs, dossiers, entire lives reduced to paper. 12 faces, 12 suspects. One of these people is selling me out. You have 48 hours to identify them, replace them, and feed the triad false information so catastrophically wrong that it destroys their entire soul operation. He sipped his wine. Fail, and I'll assume you're working with them. Success, and you graduate from prisoner to apprentice. That's impossible. For a normal person, yes. For the clever little bird who infiltrated my network without even knowing it. His smile was a challenge. Let's find out what you're really capable of. Zara spent the next 6 hours doing what she did best, reading people like books written in her native language. Suspect 1, Jinsu Min-Jae's accountant. Too nervous, too obvious, red herring. Suspect 2, Hana, a club manager in Gangnam. Possible, but her loyalty file showed a dead sister killed by the triad. Unlikely. Suspect 3 through 10, muscle, enforcers, soldiers. None had the access needed for the leaked information. That left suspect 11, Park Sung-min, Min-Jae's logistics coordinator. Quiet, efficient, invisible. 43 years old, divorced, one daughter studying abroad in Vancouver. Perfect credit, perfect record, perfect lies. Zara found the crack in his armor at 2 a.m., hacking into his personal email using techniques De-Young had beaten into her brain. There, communication with a tutoring service in Vancouver, except the tutoring service was a shell company. The payments, exactly proportional to the value of information leaked. They were blackmailing him through his daughter. Clever girl, Min-Jae's voice startled her from behind. She hadn't heard him enter her room, former cell, current surveillance state. You found him 6 hours ahead of schedule. Now comes the hard part. Replacing him. Saving him. Min-Jae's expression was unreadable. Park Sung-min has worked for me for 12 years. He's not disloyal, he's desperate. The triad kidnapped his daughter 3 months ago. Every leak keeps her alive another week. Zara's stomach dropped. So what do we do? His eyebrow arched. This is your test, Miss Okonkwo. You identified the problem. Now solve it. Save Park's daughter, destroy the triad's sole operation, and prove you're worth the investment I'm making in you. He walked to the door, then paused. Or let her die and eliminate the traitor. Either way, the leak stops. Your choice reveals who you really are. The door closed. The clock ticked. Zara had 36 hours. Zara's plan was insane. She knew it. De-Young knew it when she pitched it at dawn. Even Yuki, who seemed to approve of nothing, looked impressed by the sheer audacity. You want to fake the daughter's death, extract her from Vancouver using forged diplomatic credentials, and simultaneously convince the triad their sole operation is compromised by Korean intelligence. De-young's laugh was sharp. You'll need resources we can't. I can authorize it. Min-Yi appeared like a well-dressed ghost. If she fails, we lose nothing we weren't already losing. If she succeeds... He looked at Zara with an intensity that made her skin burn. Then we've found something rare. The next 24 hours were a symphony of chaos, orchestrated by a woman who'd been a nobody 3 days ago. Zara called in favors she didn't have, manipulated people she'd never met, and spun a web of lies so intricate that even she sometimes forgot what was real. She became 5 different people: a Canadian immigration officer, a Korean diplomat's assistant, a triad accountant with cold feet, a journalist investigating human trafficking, and a ghost who left digital fingerprints pointing to Korean national intelligence. Park's daughter, Min-Jae, was extracted from a Vancouver warehouse at 3 a.m. local time by a team who believed they were acting on official government orders. By the time the triad realized their leverage was gone, their entire Seoul network was burning, not from actual fires, but from something worse: distrust. Every member suspected every other. The false intelligence Zara had fed them made it look like their operation was riddled with government informants. Within 18 hours, the Jade Serpent Triad's Seoul presence collapsed into paranoid, self-destructive infighting. Park Sung-min wept when he saw his daughter alive via video call. Then he looked at Zara with an expression she'd never seen directed at her before: reverence. "You're not human," he whispered. "You're a miracle." "I'm a hustler," she corrected. "I just changed venues." Min-Yi found her on the warehouse roof at sunset, watching Seoul's lights flicker to life like earthbound stars. "Impressive," he said simply. "In 72 hours, you've gone from theft victim to tactical asset. Most people take years to reach your level. You did it in 3 days." "Because you forced it in," Zara said, echoing his words from the hook. "Your world, your rules, your violence. You crammed it all into my head until I either drowned or learned to swim." He stepped closer, his presence overwhelming. "And which did you do?" She turned to face him, this giant of a man who'd threatened to break her and instead had forged something sharper. "I learned to breathe underwater. But don't mistake that for loyalty, Min-Yi. I meant what I said. When I'm ready, I'm taking everything from you." His hand caught her throat, not violently, but possessively, like that first moment. "Then I'll keep teaching you, keep pushing you, keep forcing my empire into your hands until you're strong enough to actually try." "Why?" The question escaped before she could stop it. "Why not just kill me now before I become a threat?" His smile was slow, dangerous, and somehow sad. "Because, little bird, I'm tired of being the monster at the top of the mountain. Maybe it's time someone dethroned me. Maybe that someone is you." He released her and walked toward the door. "Tomorrow, your real training begins. Tonight, rest. You've earned it." "Min-Yi," he stopped. "Who are they, the 2 figures always watching in the windows?" His pause was heavy. "Ghosts from my past, reminders of what happens when you trust the wrong people. They're why I'm teaching you to be something I never was, careful." Then he was gone, leaving Zara alone with the Seoul skyline and a terrible realization blooming in her chest. She was starting to understand him, starting to respect him, starting to feel something that would destroy them both. Min-Yi's definition of real training involved things that violated at least 7 international laws and possibly several laws of physics. Zara was inserted into operations across Asia like a beautiful, deadly virus. In Bangkok, she seduced a Russian arms dealer to steal his client list, then framed him for working with Interpol, watching his empire crumble in real time. In Tokyo, she posed as a Yakuza princess to broker a peace treaty that secretly gave Min-Yi control of 3 ports. In Manila, she orchestrated a casino heist so elegant that the owners didn't realize they'd been robbed, until Min-Yi sent them a thank you note 2 weeks later. She was becoming exactly what he'd promised, a ghost, invisible, unstoppable, and increasingly indispensable. But something else was happening too. The touches lingered longer. His eyes followed her across rooms with an intensity that had nothing to do with business. When she returned from Manila with a bullet graze across her ribs, Min-Jae had personally cleaned and dressed the wound, his hands shaking, the first time she'd ever seen him show weakness. "You're getting reckless," he'd murmured, his fingers gentle against her dark skin. "I'm getting good," she'd corrected. "There's a difference. Good gets you promoted, reckless gets you killed." His eyes met hers, and for a moment the monster disappeared, replaced by something terrifyingly human. "I can't afford to lose you." "Can't afford to lose your investment, you mean?" His jaw tightened. "Yes, that's exactly what I mean." But they both knew he was lying. It was Yuki who finally told her the truth. They were sparring in the training facility. Zara had graduated from getting destroyed to occasionally landing hits, when the Japanese woman suddenly stopped mid-strike. "You need to know something," Yuki said, lowering her guard completely. "About Boss, about why he's really training you." Zara grabbed a towel, wary. Yuki never volunteered information. "I'm listening." 3 years ago, Min-Jae had a partner, a woman named Hae-jin, Korean-American, brilliant, beautiful. She was everything you are: clever, fearless, ambitious. Yuki's expression was carved from stone. She was also a federal agent. She spent 2 years infiltrating the Seoul syndicate, earning his trust, sharing his bed. He loved her, actually loved her. The words hit Zara like a physical blow. What happened? He found out. The night before she was supposed to testify, he confronted her in a warehouse, the same warehouse where he met you. Yuki's voice dropped. "The 2 figures you see in the windows, that's not metaphorical. Those are security recordings playing on loop. The night he killed her and her backup agent with his bare hands." Zara's blood went cold. He killed the woman he loved. He killed the woman who betrayed him. There's a difference. Yuki stepped closer, her scarred hands surprisingly gentle on Zara's shoulders. "You need to understand what you're dealing with. Min-Jae isn't training you to be his successor. He's training you to be his absolution. He's creating another Hae-jin, hopping this time the story ends differently. But Zara..." The door burst open. Di-young stood there, face pale. "We have a problem. The Italians just sent a message. They know about the girl." The conference room was silent except for the video playing on the massive screen. Zara's face, crystal clear, infiltrating the Russian arms dealer's yacht. Her voice, unmistakable, brokering the Tokyo Treaty. 17 different operations, all documented, all traced back to the Seoul syndicate. And sitting in the Italian Cosa Nostra's headquarters in Sicily, watching the same footage. Representatives from every organization Zara had damaged in the past 2 weeks. "Explain." Min-Jae's voice was Arctic winter personified. Di-young pulled up another file. "Someone's been documenting her every move. Professional surveillance, military-grade encryption. They've compiled a complete profile and distributed it to every major crime family in the Eastern Hemisphere." He paused. "Boss, they're calling for her head, and ours for unleashing her." "Who?" Min-Jae's hand was already on his gun. "Who compiled this?" The answer came from the doorway. Park Sung-min stepped in, face haggard. "I did." The room exploded into motion. Koa had Park against the wall in seconds, gun pressed to his skull, but Min-Jae raised a hand, stopping the execution. "Explain, quickly." Park's voice shook. "My daughter, the extraction was a lie. They still have her, the real her. What we rescued was a decoy, a girl they'd surgically altered. The triad released her to make me compliant, to make me think I was free." Tears streamed down his face. "They contacted me yesterday, said if I didn't give them everything on Zara, they'd send me Min-Jae's fingers, one joint at a time." Silence, then Min-Jae spoke, voice softer than death. "Where is the real Min-Jae?" "I don't know, I swear." "Then you're useless." Min-Jae nodded to Koa. "Wait!" Zara's shout stopped everything. She stepped forward, mind racing. "The surveillance, military grade, you said. That equipment costs millions. The Jade Serpent Triad doesn't have that budget, not after we destroyed their Seoul operation." Di-young's eyes widened. "She's right. This level of sophistication requires..." "Government resources," Yuki finished. "Someone with official channels." Min-Ye's expression went from cold to absolutely zero. "Show me the encryption signature." Di-young typed furiously. The code appeared on screen. Min-Ye stared at it for exactly 3 seconds before his fist went through the conference table. "Impossible," he whispered. "What?" Zara moved beside him. "What is it?" He looked at her, and for the first time since they'd met, she saw actual fear in his eyes. "This encryption, I know it. It's the same signature from 3 years ago, from the federal task force that sent." "Hyjin," Yuki breathed. The room's temperature dropped 20 degrees. "But she's dead," Di-young said. "We saw the bodies, we saw what we were meant to see." Min-Ye's voice was hollow. "She's alive. She's been alive this entire time, and she's orchestrating everything." As if summoned by her name, every screen in the facility flickered. Then her face appeared. Hyjin was stunning, sharp features, cold eyes, a smile that could cut diamonds. She looked directly at the camera, directly at Min-Ye, and spoke in perfect Korean before switching to English. "Hello, my love. Did you miss me?" Min-Ye said nothing. His entire body was rigid. "I have to admit, training my replacement, bold move. She's good, almost as good as I was. But here's what you didn't consider, Min-Ye. You taught her to be a ghost, but I taught the world to see her. Every organization she's damaged now wants her dead. Every family she's infiltrated wants revenge. And you?" Her laugh was crystalline poison. "You're going to have to choose. Protect your little investment and watch your empire burn, or sacrifice her and prove you learned nothing from killing me." The screen split. On one side, the real Min-Jae bound and gagged in a concrete room. On the other, coordinates. A location in Incheon at the docks. Tomorrow night. Midnight. "Bring the girl, Zara, is it? Bring her alone, unarmed, and I'll consider letting the daughter live. Bring anyone else, and I start mailing pieces of her to every news organization in Seoul." Hyjin's smile widened. "Oh, and Min-Ye, this time make sure I'm actually dead when you pull the trigger. 3rd time's the charm." The screens went black. The room erupted into chaos. Di-young shouting coordinates, Yuki demanding tactical options, Koa ready to mobilize a small army. But Zara only watched Min-Ye, who stood frozen, staring at the empty screen where his dead lover's face had been. "It's a trap," she said quietly. "If I go, I'm dead. If I don't go, that girl dies, Park dies, and your reputation as someone who protects their people dies with them." Min-Ye turned to her slowly. "Yes. So what do we do?" He stepped close, so close she could see the war raging behind his eyes. His hand came up, cupping her face with a gentleness that contradicted everything he was. "We," he whispered. "There is no we anymore, Zara. There's only you making the choice I couldn't 3 years ago." "What choice?" His thumb traced her cheekbone. "Whether to be the hero who saves everyone and dies for it, or the monster who survives and lives with the consequences." Before she could respond, he kissed her. Hard, desperate, goodbye wrapped in violence and something that felt terrifyingly like love. When he pulled back, his mask was back in place. "Tomorrow night, Incheon docks. Whatever you decide knowing this. I will not save you. I cannot save you. Because if I do, she wins and everything we've built turns to ash." He walked out, leaving Zara standing in a room full of killers, with a choice that would define whether she remained human or became something else entirely. The clock on the wall ticked toward midnight. 24 hours until everything changed. 24 hours until Zara discovered what she truly was. The little bird who flew into a cage. Or the monster who burned it down.